Have you ever wondered about the giants that roamed our planet long before us? We often think of dinosaurs as the ultimate prehistoric titans, but after they vanished, a new group of amazing animals took over. These were the mammals, and some of them grew to incredible sizes. Among these giants, one name often comes up in discussions about the biggest, baddest predator of them all, Andrewsarchus. This creature has captured our imaginations for decades, but was it truly the largest meat-eating land mammal to have ever lived? That is the big question, and the answer is more mysterious than you might think. Let's dive in and explore the evidence. This incredible animal lived a very long time ago, during a period called the Eocene epoch. We're talking about roughly 45 to 36 million years ago. Its home was the coastal regions of what we now call Inner Mongolia, China. Imagine a world very different from today, with lush forests and strange creatures wandering the landscape. It was in this ancient world that Andrewsarchus thrived. For scientists, this animal is like a fascinating puzzle. It represents a time when mammals were evolving into new and gigantic forms, filling the roles left behind by the great dinosaurs. It pushes the limits of what we thought was possible for a mammalian predator. The story of how we even know about Andrewsarchus is a real adventure in itself. In 1923, a famous explorer and fossil hunter named Roy Chapman Andrews led an expedition into the Gobi Desert. His team was looking for clues about early human ancestors. Instead, they stumbled upon something completely unexpected. A member of his team, Kan Chuan Pao, found an enormous skull, nearly 3 feet long, sticking out of the sand. It was unlike anything they had ever seen before. The creature was named Andrewsarchus mongoliensis, which means Andrew's ruler from Mongolia, in honor of the expedition leader. This single discovery is the reason Andrewsarchus is so famous today. That one massive skull opened up a world of questions. What did the rest of its body look like? How did it hunt? And most importantly, just how big was it? This creature is a perfect example of how a small piece of evidence can create a huge legend. It teases us with its potential size and power, making it a true icon of prehistoric life. The mystery surrounding it is a huge part of its appeal. It invites us to imagine, to speculate, and to keep searching for more clues about its incredible life on ancient Earth. The only piece of Andrewsarchus we have ever found is its skull, but what a skull it is. Measuring about 83 centimeters long, or nearly 3 feet, it is one of the largest skulls of any land mammal predator ever discovered. Just think about that. A head bigger than that of a modern grizzly bear or a polar bear. This tells us right away that we are dealing with an animal of immense proportions. The skull is long and narrow, with powerful jaws that would have been capable of delivering a bone-crushing bite. It's this single piece of fossil evidence that has fueled all the debate and speculation about this incredible beast. When scientists first examined the skull, they noticed its huge, broad teeth. The molars were large and flattened, which is a bit unusual for a pure carnivore. This has led to some interesting ideas about its diet. Some experts believe it was a pure meat-eater, using its powerful jaws to hunt large prey or to scavenge carcasses, much like a giant hyena. Others suggest that the flat molars might mean it was an omnivore. Perhaps it ate a mix of things, including meat, but also maybe turtles, hard-shelled mollusks, or even tough plants. The teeth give us clues, but they don't give us a final answer. The shape of the skull also gives us hints about its family tree. For a long time, scientists thought Andrewsarchus was related to a group of extinct predators called mesonychids. These animals were sometimes called wolves with hooves because they had hooves on their feet instead of claws. This was the popular idea for many years, and it's how you'll see Andrewsarchus portrayed in older books and documentaries. It was imagined as a giant wolf-like creature with a massive head, roaming the ancient plains and hunting other large mammals of its time. This image was powerful and stuck in the public's imagination. However, more recent studies have completely changed our understanding of this animal. By looking closely at the details of the skull and comparing it to other mammals, scientists now believe Andrewsarchus was not a mesonychid at all. Instead, it seems to be an early relative of animals like hippos and whales. This is a shocking twist. It means this supposed super predator might be part of a group that includes modern plant eaters and ocean giants. This discovery makes Andrewsarchus even more fascinating. It was part of a very strange and diverse group of mammals with hooves, known as artiodactyls. So, how do you figure out the size of an animal when all you have is its head? This is the central challenge with Andrewsarchus. Scientists have to make an educated guess, a process we call estimation. The earliest estimates were based on the idea that it was a mesonychid. Researchers looked at the body proportions of other mesonychids which had relatively large heads compared to their bodies. They then applied that ratio to the giant skull of Andrewsarchus. This method produced a truly gigantic animal, suggesting it could have been up to 13 feet long and weighed over a ton or 2,000 pounds. This calculation is what made Andrewsarchus famous as the potential king of land predators. A 1-ton carnivorous mammal is a terrifying thought. It would have been larger than any polar bear or grizzly bear living today. This size estimate placed it at the very top of the list of meat-eating land mammals. It was this vision of a colossal wolf-like beast that was shown in the famous documentary Walking with Beasts. In the show, it was depicted as a fearsome scavenger that bullied other predators away from their kills along the ancient shorelines, a true monster of its time. But remember, science is always evolving. As our ideas about its family tree changed, so did the estimates of its size. If Andrewsarchus is more closely related to hippos and other hoofed mammals, then its body proportions might have been very different. Many of these animals have very large heads but stockier, less predator-like bodies. Think of a hippo. It has a huge head, but its body is barrel-shaped and not built like a wolf or a bear. If Andrewsarchus had a body more like a hippo or an extinct animal called an entelodont, it might have been shorter and heavier, but not as long and sleek as previously thought. Because of this uncertainty, modern estimates of its size are much more cautious. Some scientists now suggest it might have been closer in weight to a very large American bison, maybe around 1,000 to 1,500 pounds. This would still make it a truly enormous animal and a top contender for the title of largest predator. However, it opens the door for other giant carnivores to challenge its reign. Without more bones, like a leg bone or a piece of its spine, we are left to guess. The true size of Andrewsarchus remains one of the great unsolved mysteries of paleontology. Andrewsarchus was not the only massive mammalian predator to ever walk the earth. It had some serious competition for the title of biggest ever. One of its main rivals is a creature called Megistotherium. This beast lived in Africa around 23 million years ago, long after Andrewsarchus disappeared. We have found more of its skeleton than we have for Andrewsarchus, including parts of its jaw, skull, and some limb bones. Megistotherium was a hyenodont, a member of an extinct group of carnivores. It had a massive skull, even larger than that of Andrewsarchus, and was undoubtedly a powerful hunter, likely preying on ancient elephants. Another contender from the same time as Andrewsarchus was Sarcastodon. This animal lived in the same part of the world, in what is now Mongolia. Its name even means flesh-tearing tooth, which tells you what scientists thought of it. Sarcastodon was not a hyenodont, but a different type of carnivore known as an oxyenid. It was built more like a giant bear, with a very broad skull and powerful shearing teeth perfect for slicing through meat and bone. While its skull was shorter than that of Andrewsarchus, it was much wider. It was likely a very heavy, powerfully built animal, and some estimates put its weight in the same league, possibly over 1,500 pounds. Moving forward in time, we meet another giant, the short-faced bear, or Arctodus simus. This amazing bear lived in North America during the Ice Age. As recently as 11,000 years ago, it was a true giant. Standing on its hind legs, it could have reached over 11 feet tall. It had long, slender legs, which suggests it might have been a fast runner, capable of chasing down prey. Some estimates suggest the largest males could have weighed up to 2,000 pounds, making it a very strong candidate for the title. Unlike the others, we have many complete skeletons of the short-faced bear, so we are much more confident about its size and shape. Finally, we can't forget about other members of the hyenodon family, like Hyenodon gigas. This species, which also lived in Asia during the Eocene, was another massive predator. While perhaps not as heavy as the absolute largest contenders, it was still a formidable animal with a large skull and shearing teeth designed for a hyper-carnivorous diet. Each of these animals, Megistotherium, Sarcastodon, Arctodus, and Hyenodon, was a top predator in its own ecosystem. They were all enormous, powerful, and perfectly adapted for hunting. Andrewsarchus was part of a club of giants, and it's not the only member with a claim to the throne. So, with all these giants in the running, why is it so hard to just pick one and declare it the winner? The biggest problem is the lack of evidence. For animals like Andrewsarchus and Sarcastodon, we have very incomplete skeletons. We are forced to guess their body size based on just a skull or a jaw. As we've seen, this can lead to very different results depending on which modern animal we use for comparison. A wolf-like body versus a hippo-like body can mean a difference of hundreds of pounds. It's like trying to guess a person's height and weight by only looking at their head. It's incredibly difficult to be accurate. Another major challenge is deciding what biggest even means. Are we talking about the heaviest animal, the longest animal from nose to tail, or the tallest animal when standing? These are all different ways to measure size, and they can give you different answers. The short-faced bear, Arctodus simus, was likely the tallest of the group, with its long legs giving it an impressive height. However, an animal like Megistotherium, or a stocky version of Andrewsarchus, might have been heavier, even if it wasn't as tall. There is no single universally agreed upon way to crown the champion. The way these animals were built also complicates things. A long, slender predator might stretch the tape measure, but a shorter, more robust animal could tip the scales at a greater weight. Think of a tall, thin basketball player versus a shorter, heavier weightlifter. Who is bigger? It depends on how you measure. For these prehistoric predators, we have to consider their entire build. Sarcastodon was likely a massive, bear-like ambush predator, while the short-faced bear might have been a more active pursuit hunter. Their weights and body shapes were adapted for different lifestyles, making direct comparisons very tricky for paleontologists. Ultimately, this is why the debate continues to fascinate both scientists and the public. There is no easy answer. Every time a new fossil is found, or a new method of analysis is developed, the picture can change. An animal that was once thought to be the champion might be dethroned. Right now, based on the available evidence, Andrewsarchus is certainly one of the top contenders. It had one of the largest predator skulls, and even the more conservative weight estimates place it among the giants. But without more of its skeleton, its crown as the king of carnivorous mammals remains uncertain. Even with all the uncertainty, Andrewsarchus remains one of the most popular and fascinating prehistoric mammals. Part of its appeal comes directly from its mystery. Because we know so little about it, we are free to imagine. That single giant skull is like a blank canvas. It allows us to picture a monster of epic proportions, a true ruler of its ancient world. This mystery sparks our curiosity and makes us want to learn more. It's the unknown that often draws us in, and Andrewsarchus is one of the greatest unknowns in the fossil record. It represents the wild possibilities of evolution. The media has also played a huge role in cementing its legendary status. The 2001 BBC documentary Walking with Beasts introduced Andrewsarchus to a massive global audience. The show depicted it as a colossal, hyena-like scavenger, a dominant force on the Eocene coast. This powerful image, whether entirely accurate or not, has stuck in our collective memory. For many people, this was their first introduction to the animal, and it created a lasting impression of a super predator. Video games and toys have also featured Andrewsarchus, often emphasizing its immense size and power, further building its reputation as the ultimate mammalian carnivore. Beyond its size, Andrewsarchus is incredibly important for its place in the story of evolution. The discovery that it might be related to hippos and whales is a perfect example of how science works. It shows us that the history of life is full of strange twists and turns. An animal we thought was a wolf-like predator might actually be part of a family that led to peaceful, water-loving hippos. This connection is a beautiful illustration of how animals adapt and change over millions of years. It reminds us that nature is often more surprising and complex than we can imagine, and the family trees of ancient animals are full of unexpected relatives. In conclusion, is Andrewsarchus the undisputed king of carnivorous mammals? The honest answer is, we don't know for sure. It is without a doubt one of the biggest and most formidable contenders for the title. Its enormous skull proves it was an animal of incredible size and power. However, with rivals like Megistotherium and the short-faced bear, and with so much of its skeleton missing, the debate is far from over, and that's what makes paleontology so exciting. Andrewsarchus remains a magnificent puzzle, a giant shrouded in mystery, and a true icon of our planet's amazing prehistoric past. The search for the true king continues.